Let's face it, vampires will never be cool again. Thanks to those idiotic Twilight fans, we will now have to give up on the awesome vampires of old, like the good old Dracula here.
Listen to them. Children of the night. What music they make.
And now we have to deal with this.
This is what I am.
This series knows about as much about vampires as I do quantum physics, which is nothing! While thankfully us anime fans have Alucard to hold us over when it comes to vampires, that's not to say that anime plus vampires equals awesome. Thus brings us to our topic of today, which is Vampire Wars. Let's go ahead and get started.
いつしか生きるために置き去りにした幸せ偽ることで使って踊ってたただの幻に瞳閉じた視界の果てで君の笑顔を探してた揺れている面影に僕らは夢抱き駆け抜けてくそういつの日か胸にしまってたこの想いもう一度握りしめて今
The movie opens up with these guys blasting their way into a military base. Who they are and what they're doing is unknown, but I gotta say, they remind me a lot of the A-Team. So we cut to Paris, where we see our main hero watching TV about the attack, which was on some base that tries to make contact with aliens, when... Wait a minute, we just established that we're currently in Paris. Why the hell are we watching an American news program? Anyway, our hero gets a phone call from a screaming woman, and he leaps into action. Literally. Yeah, leaping down a flight of stairs. That seemed necessary. He arrives to find that the woman has died, but her killer remains. That seems like an unreasonable amount of blood to come out of a human skull, but whatever. Our hero makes a run for it and begins to monologue like he's in some kind of Frank Miller knockoff.
Something's wrong here. Sure, that guy was a genuine Class A psycho, but how come the place is crawling with cops so quickly?
Hey, Cookie.
I'm sorry, but what was his name?
Hey, Cookie.
So, our badass action hero's name is Cookie? Cookie? That has to be one of the worst names to be ever given to a character. Why would you name a character Cookie? That is something you would name a cute little doggy, not the badass action hero. So Cookie gets word from one of his girls that there are a bunch of men looking for him. And yes, Cookie here is actually a pimp. But he's a nice pimp that treats his girls with respect, so that makes it all better, doesn't it? The two end up getting ambushed by a couple of guys in suits.
Ah! Get off me, you great ape! You're hurting me! Get off! No!
Get this two-time slut out of here.
Man, it sounds like that guy had smoked for about 20 years straight before recording his lines.
Fight!
Falcon Punch!
Excellent.
After the fight, Cookie is captured, and sadly this is the closest we'll ever get to this movie being anything like Helsing. He's being interrogated by some stereotypical French guy.
That's really very impressive performance, Mr. Honda. No, I think I'll call you by your real name, Monsieur Cookie. I prefer it.
No. I would prefer his street name. Thank you very much.
The French guy works for a government agency called Wing, and he wants Cookie here to work for him. He's tortured a little bit and brought into an office where he makes his escape out of a window.
See you around.
Quick question. Why was nobody guarding the window? You would think that after a guy was tortured, he'd want to escape, and, windows have this very nifty trick of becoming an exit!
You mean to tell me that of the 4 armed men in this room, nobody thought of covering the window? Idiots! All of you! Cookie, jeez, I still can't believe that's his name, runs into an apartment to meet one of his old war buddies. Yeah, Cookie here was a hired gun as well as being a pimp. Go figure. He has an internal monologue about his relationship with his buddy.
He'd worked with me on the Communist Direct Action Group in Japan. We'd hatched a plot to blow up Tokyo's financial district by dropping a remote-controlled airliner packed with high explosives into it. It flattened it like a dog turd under a steamroller.
Gee, thanks for the imagery.
Crashed that day. What Meraki was doing in Paris, I didn't know.
Wait, if that's the case, how do you even know he was in Paris at all? If you don't know why he's there, why do you even know he's there at all?
Seriously, this guy is on the run from the government, and he seeks the help of a guy he doesn't even know is in town? How stupid is this movie?
Do you know what brought me knocking at your door?
And you don't even tell him why you're in trouble? You just expect Meraki here to actually know what's going on? Granted, he does, but still, that's usually information you'd like to give to someone before you use their place as a hideout from the cops.
So after taking Meraki's code and gun, Cookie breaks into the Wing building and asks the French guy what he wanted Cookie to do, which would make the scene of him breaking out of the building and staying in his friend's house completely and totally pointless. Why would you escape and refuse to work for this guy, only to return and ask what the deal is? This guy's a total idiot!
Stupid! You're so stupid!
So this plan involves Cookie sneaking into NASA and discovering more about this project called Project D. And the only thing known about Project D is that the D stands for Dracula. I am so out of here the moment they mention space vampires. Cookie agrees for some reason, but the French guy realizes that he can't contact Cookie by his real name because any enemy overhearing a conversation with a guy whose name was Cookie would die of laughter. So they come up with a code name.
Well, as they're using Dracula,
How much you want to bet it's Van Helsing?
I shall be known as Bat.
Baseball, 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 baseball.
Later that night, Cookie gets a visit from a woman named Marguerite. Although if the movie hadn't said that she was a woman, I would have confused her for being a long-haired guy, considering how broad her shoulders are. Jeez, they're almost as broad as Cookie's. Anyway, Cookie learns that the attack on NASA was caused by vampires, and Cookie just kind of accepts it. I know your movie is called Vampire Wars, but vampires haven't really made themselves an appearance yet. Why in the world is Cookie so quick to accept that vampires are responsible for the attack on NASA when he doesn't even know that vampires are real yet?
I mean, think about it. If someone comes up to you and says, "Hey, vampires just attacked NASA," you'd think the guy was on some pretty heavy medications.
Moving quickly on, Cookie notices an actress being questioned by the... And luckily for Cookie, this bellhop knows everything plot relevant about this woman.
So you're a fan?
Oh, you bet. I know everything about her. But she suddenly stopped making movies 6 months ago, and I have no idea why.
I wonder if that's going to affect the plot at all, though. Who am I kidding? This might as well have just said, "Hey, you know that famous actress? Well, she's been missing during the daytime shootings and only makes nighttime appearances. Weird, huh? By the way, I hear you're investigating this vampires attacking NASA business." Considering that you need to be about as blind, deaf, and dumb as Helen Keller to miss that fact, Cookie catches on and asks the French guy about her connection to this plot. She's secretly visiting a doctor who is an expert on blood disorders. Again, this movie keeps its secrets about as well as a 4-year-old. He asks for an address so he can stalk the poor guy in his home.
He seems agitated, unable to settle to anything. He keeps checking the phone, so I guess he's waiting for a call.
Did you learn those sharp detective skills on your own, or did you have to go to some private school to learn all that fancy detective stuff you're doing?
And wouldn't you know it, the doctor is attacked by a random vampire, as Cookie just watches in horror as the monster makes quick work of his victim.
Sparkles! Is there anything you won't destroy, Stephanie Menaire?
Cookie rushes over to the doctor's apartment, wearing a Rocketeer costume nonetheless, where he hears the doctor's dying words.
Yes, he wants blood.
I'm actually surprised he was able to say anything at all, considering that his throat was slipped open.
Cookie follows the doctor's dying words back to the hotel where the vampire is after the actress from earlier. I think you might be a bit late to the party, Cookie. Somebody do something!
Okay, why didn't you kill Cookie? Why didn't you kill the girl? Why didn't you do anything at all? You were just padding out the movie, weren't you, you sick son of a bitch?
The next morning is a bit awkward, let me tell you. The actress, Lamera, wakes up in an unknown location. The first thing she hears is a strange man saying things like,
"And don't worry, all I did was carry you here. I haven't interfered with you or molested you or anything."
Girl, if I was in your shoes, I'd be screaming for help.
Cookie then catches Lamera up to speed about what's going on. She takes it far too well in my opinion, but whatever. She then goes on about how the doctor was treating her for panic attacks and how the first doctor sent her blood samples to another doctor. Cookie, taking a page from his book of master detective skills, says that they need to track down the other doctor. They are about to leave when Cookie notices these guys.
Run for it! Run!
Did you have to do that?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm with her. Was killing them necessary at all? They were really just coming up to you in trench coats. What in the world made you think that they were gonna kill you?
They end up going to her aunt's house, just because, but the good news is that the aunt has Lamera's test results from Doctor Number 2, although the aunt is hesitant to show them to Lamera.
No, I won't calm down. Not until you let me see what it says.
Lamia, I'm sure he made some mistake. Don't worry about it,
Shut
dear.
up, damn it!
Another prime example of why English dubs have a bad rep.
Chloride E2.
Looks like John Woo is making a movie outside their window. As you might have guessed, the results say that Lamina's blood is not human. Cookie handles the situation with cunning and tact, though.
Lamia's DNA is not that of a human being, but of some kind of alien organism.
I'm having trouble buying this. You're saying she's some kind of space monster?
Way to go, Mr. Smooth.
While the two are crying their eyes out, Cookie notices the vampire standing in the garden in the middle of the day!
How can a movie called Vampire Wars not even get the vampire mythos right?
The two then duke it out with each other.
Did he just get logged?
That's not scary, that's just goofy. This is enough to spook Cookie, though, and the vampire leaves without saying anything about their fight, and considering he was basically taken up by a still-moving tree, I'd act like the fight never happened as well. Back inside, the aunt heads out to gather Lamina's things when Cookie goes to comfort Lamina.
Hold me, please hold me.
Are you sure that's what you want?
Don't question the woman, dammit! Make your move!
What are you trying to do to me? Bite my neck out?
I'm sorry. I think it's a symptom. The alkyl chloride E2, it's affecting my behavior. I can't help myself.
I think I've heard that line before. Oh yeah. Chicks say that when they want to get into the kinky vampire stuff. You mean biting your neck and sucking the blood from your veins? Yeah, it's really hot. You should try it out sometime. I don't know that I'm into roleplay, but when people start biting other people's necks, it gets a little weird for me.
Guys, shut up!
So while Cookie goes out and buys a gun, the aunt finds a letter from Meraki saying that Lumera has heard that her brother has been kidnapped, which is odd considering this is the first time her brother has even been mentioned. Meraki decides to help Lumera look for her brother. Cookie senses that this was a trap, and the aunt takes Cookie to where the two went using a helicopter. Yeah, not only does the aunt know how to fly this piece of machinery, she even knows where they're going without having any sort of clue of where they're supposed to go.
I'm sorry, but I believe your leg should have just shattered.
So we're treated to a little shootout between Cookie and the CIA, and we really get an example of how low quality this animation is. You don't really see any of the action happening. You've got these guys appearing in the frame, then it cuts away to the scenery, where you hear the action going on, but none of it's on screen. While the Foley work is good, the animation is stale. Try watching this scene without any sound and see what I mean. See, the frame is completely lifeless and boring.
This is supposed to be an action scene. Where's the action?
Anyway, Cookie meets up with the Marlboro Man and they have a final shootout.
You know there had to have been a guy in the sound booth just laughing his ass off when this take was going on.
Before Cookie kills this guy, he gives a quick reminder of what happened to one of his girls from the beginning of the movie.
Do you remember the prostitute whose face you smashed up? She found that she wasn't able to earn a living anymore, so she committed suicide. She must have been hurting bad.
Why mention something like that when it has no effect on the plot whatsoever? Sure, you could say that it gives Cookie motivation to give this guy a third eye, but it's not really like Cookie needs much of a motivation to shoot somebody.
The Marlboro Man tells Cookie that Lumera was taken by the CIA in a trade with a French guy. The CIA want her blood for some reason, having to do with a DNA strand in her blood. Well, that's not really important because this death is pretty comical.
In her DNA. Shit!
After hearing this, Cookie goes to kill the French guy. Okay, Cookie, he's dead. You can stop shooting now. Anytime now. Jeez, talk about a waste of ammo. Oh well, at least he's there. Ah!
Hey, I can dig a twist ending like this. Sure, it was a stupid movie, but at least it was short. You know what? This is CJ Hitchcock signing. Damn it, who am I kidding? There's more.
Cookie was taken captive by the vampires who want Lamina's blood for reasons other than just sucking her unique blood.
Out there in the depths of the universe, the
Done. Not doing space vampires. No. Done. Damn it!
To paraphrase the backstory of the vampires, you have two alien races at war with each other, one good and one bad. The good guy's leader suffers an injury and lands on Earth, where the quickest way of reviving him is to use human blood. These alien blood gatherers have been called by humans as vampires, and when they heard that NASA was making a powerful satellite, they freaked out and destroyed it so that the bad aliens won't find Earth's location.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and admit that this is somewhat of a clever storyline. The problem is, it's just plain weird. Why would you make your creatures of the night creatures from beyond the stars? I really don't get how you can call a movie Vampire Wars when your twist ending turns out to be aliens. It doesn't make any sense.
So to move along, Cookie says that he'll help the vampires get Lamina's blood. They break into the Air Force base with guns ablazing. What, you think you're Akita now?
That's the exact same footage you used 30 seconds ago. If you're gonna reuse footage, you should at least wait a minute or so.
So Cookie gets on the plane where Lamina is being kept, and our badass action hero has suddenly lost his badass powers when fighting this fat guy. Why? Why, to make Lamina's reappearance as a vampire more dramatic.
As you might have guessed, there's no real scene of Lamina kind of discovering that she has vampire powers. She just kind of has them now. And yet, for some strange reason, you could still see this coming from about a mile away.
Not only that, but her face looks absolutely nothing like from the last time when we saw her. So yeah, Lamina kills the CIA guys with their new vampire powers, and Cookie tells her the vampires' plans to help resurrect their leader, and the movie ends with the two flying into the sunset while playing music that sounds like it was ripped straight from Final Fantasy VII.
So that's Vampire Wars. How does it stand? Well, it's as in yucky.
This movie suffers from both poor animation and bad voice acting, but ultimately this movie has the problem where it tells us what's going on instead of showing us. One scene that sums this up perfectly is the last scene in the movie.
Pilots flying this plane. When I went into the cockpit, they tried to attack me, but when I looked into their eyes, they were unable to move. Then I realized my power. I have some kind of telepathy. I'm able to control other people's minds even if it's against their own will.
Now, wouldn't that scene been better if we had actually seen her take over the plane and discovering her powers instead of being told of what she did?
Although, to be fair, at least this movie's only about 50 minutes long. And thankfully, there isn't a sequel, so this is C.J. Hitchcock. Psychic Wars? Ah, hell.
I forgot to wear my drawers tonight.